I'd like now to introduce Alan. Alan is the chairman of Mission Aviation Fellowship of Singapore and the president of the Fellowship of Airline Personnel Singapore. He has been a pilot for more than 40 years and has flown many different aircraft, including the B747 and the A380. He is currently flying the B787, the Dreamliner. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Alan, who is sharing for us all to hear. Over to you, Alan.
Yep, hi, good morning. It's an honor and a privilege. Thank you, Richard, to be here to be able to share some of my own journey and also the journey of the airline personnel, those that are working with the Airline Fellowship and the Mission Aviation Fellowship. So it's rather a privilege and an honor, and thank you for giving me the privilege. Can I have the first slide? Yeah. And we know that this is a passage that was read just now about the storm brewing over the Lake of Galilee as Jesus and his disciples were crossing over. And we know from the words that's used regarding this storm, it's not a normal storm, it's a seismos was used. So it's rather a violent storm. And so the disciples went to Jesus and woke him up and said, Lord, no, we're in trouble. And Jesus stood up and rebuked the storm, and the storm calmed down. But at the same time, Jesus told the disciples, why are you so frightened, you men of little faith? So when we look at this passage and we drew it down and say, the disciples go to Jesus. Whenever we're in trouble, we go to Jesus, we pray. And that is the correct thing to do. But yet at the same time, Jesus, in this instance, rebuked the disciples and said, how come you have so little faith? And what was Jesus expecting from them and of them? So it's important to realize that there is a certain level where we are given authority as well, right? So I want to move to the next slide. And our authority comes with our walk with the Lord. So over the years, as I walk with the Lord, I can see the journey of our faith. This is a typical journey. We rise up in faith and our faith go back, we go up again. And for those who accept Jesus, we know that it is a journey, but it's full of challenges, but yet it's full of victories and surprises. And at a certain point in time, your faith might really go way down, and what people call the dark night of the soul, and then you carry on up again. And in this instance, if you look at the history of the disciples with Jesus prior to the storm, right? In the same chapter in Matthew chapter 8, same chapter itself, of course, there are many other instances. 5 to 7 was a sermon that Jesus gave them on the mount. It began with Jesus healing a person with leprosy. And in the next instance, the centurion's servant was healed. And this is a long distance healing. Jesus need even not be there, just gave the word. And the centurion's servant was healed. And then later on, he healed Peter's mother-in-law of the fever. And then in verse 16, it talks about Jesus. Multitudes came to him. And with the word, he cast out demons because they were demon-possessed and there were many were sick. And he healed everyone that was sick. So the disciples has a history with God. They have seen the miracles that Jesus performed. And the next instant was this storm. And what Jesus expected them to do was, there are two levels. One is, when we're in trouble, we go to Jesus and ask, we pray, we supplicate. But at another level, Jesus gave us authority. In Matthew 28, he says that all authority in heaven and on earth is given to me. And now you will make disciples. So the disciples do have the authority. Even while Jesus was sleeping, perhaps the disciples could have rebuked the storm, and the storm could have just calmed down. So there are this possibility. So that's why Jesus said, "Why are you of so little faith?" Right. So our history is very important. What is our history with God, and what is the thing that excites us? And when we recall our life, how do we recall it? Now, as a child of God, as a Christian, we will want to recall it. How is our walk with God? What we are passionate about, and what marks our high point in our life is our career, for example. And the day you retire, you're nobody. If you're a family, the day you have emptiness, you're all lonely. But if your history is with God, you will always have a walk that is exciting and interesting. And at the same time, if you're in a workplace, if your history is with God, you have fear of God and not fear of man. If your history is in your career, you have a fear of man, because whoever can take it away from you, you'll be fearful of. So timeline of our history with God is very important to understand what goes on in our life, and to really overcome storms in our life. Next slide first. So I want to talk a bit about the workplace. In the workplace, there will always be storms in our life, whether we like it or not. Storms will come. Nobody can say that in all my life or in my career even that it's all smooth sailing. Right? Even in the aviation industry, we see many storms, but by far this is the biggest. Now we see the September 11 bombing of the World Trade Center. Right? We see the what I call Asian financial crisis before that. We have the SARS, right? And then we have the subprime crisis, and all these affects industries in various forms. But in the workplace also, sometimes we do have storms. And then sometimes we find that the Lord asks us to be a salt and light in the workplace, not to be weaknesses. So I'm leading the airline fellowship for close to 18 years. In between, there are some who took over occasionally. So one of the things that we really expound upon is that in our workplace, whilst we are working, we must be excellent. And our focus is on God. Like in Colossians, Colossians 2 talks about work as for the Lord. And so we ask our members to really be excellent and not to strive for promotions and all. Because if you don't strive, you work as for the Lord, promotions will come naturally. Right? So and then we ask wisdom from the Lord. As if we have a history with the Lord will give us wisdom. I just want to share one occasion where I've been in the management ranks for since early 2000s, and one of the projects that I was given at one time was I was in charge of technical, and was working with the other divisions in the company. We were supposed to come up with a program, okay, verifiable program of fuel savings, and we're supposed to save $70 million per year. So we worked through a couple of months. We're given a timeline, and at the end of it, the team was very, very happy because we have hit 68.8 million. So 70 million, I think that's good. I mean, fantastic. But in my heart, I said, no, that's not excellent. But I also don't want to strive, right? I just present 68.8 is good. But yet something is niggling at me, say that, no, that's not good enough. It ought to be excellent. But then if we strive on our own to be excellent, we'll be driven and it's no good. So we just ask the Lord, can you give me some wisdom how to really hit the target? If I can't hit, it's okay. But if I can, is there any way? So I had a presentation on a Wednesday to the CEO. And on that Sunday, means 3 days before, as I was driving back from church, the Lord gave me an idea. I said, why don't you apply this idea? And this idea will need a policy change by the flight operations division. And it's not coincidence. The timeliness was perfect. The next day, Monday, was actually a meeting, a management committee meeting of the flight operations personnel. And so I presented the idea, I requested for the policy change, and I worked out, and the number was correct. It came out to 1.3 million. And with 60.8, the total was 70.1 million. And we hit our target in an excellent way. So we need wisdom, we need resource, and as we excel ourselves in our walk with the Lord will give us wisdom, will give us humility as well, no? to do our work well, to be noticed that we are walking through our lifestyle, what we call a lifestyle sharing of the goodness and the love of God in the workplace. So there are many other incidences, but I will not share because what I call I have 2 other points to make given the time, the 15 minutes. So kind of the next picture. So back again to this COVID-19. COVID-19 is by far the greatest challenge the world has, and especially so for the aviation industry. Every month, the airline fellowship will pray at my place. We have about 25 people approximately every month. But every week, twice a week, they will gather at the workplace to either pray or share a gospel passage. So that's been going on for 20 years. And so one of the prayer about 8 years ago in my place here, about 25 to 30 of us, the Lord gave us a dream and a vision and says that there will be 3 years, there will be something that's coming that's going to be so devastating to the aviation industry and will last for 3 years. And it will be so bad that even the senior management is at a loss of what to do. And so what do? So we pray. When the Lord gave us a vision, we pray into it. We pray for peace. But that was 8 years ago. And whenever the slight downturn come in between, we ask the Lord, is this the 3 years coming? And the Lord said, no. And we said, no. So until recently, COVID-19 hit, he said, yes, this is the 3 years. It's a 3 years of deep downturn. And so the industry starts to agree. There'll be 2 years, 3 years, some say 3 years, 4 years. So what do? We keep praying. We keep asking for grace, for wisdom. And in the last 4 weeks, ever since the COVID, okay, just backtrack, since April, the airline fellowship start to pray 4 times a week. Consistently, we have not missed a single prayer. And one of those prayers about 2 weeks ago, the Lord started to impress upon us that the devastating impact of COVID-19 will all end within a year. This is contrary to wisdom. And if we share it, we can sound foolish, but no, we don't. We just pray. And we pray and declare that it will last a year. The devastating effects. The lingering effects is not important as well as doesn't affect the industry. And so we pray and we are confident, right? Because of what the Lord has told us that's going to be 3 years, 8 years ago, and now He told us that He will shorten to 1 year. I think we are confident that we will start to see a marked improvement in this area within a year from April, that is. So by next April, we should see a marked improvement. And 6 nights ago, the Lord gave me another dream. He says that the travel industry, the travel portal is going to be attacked quite fiercely. And this morning, I read the news that Lawrence Wong says that leisure travel may not be possible to end of the year. So what do? The next gathering of the airline fellowship, we are going to pray against this and say, Lord, lift up this attack on the travel portal. Right? So there are things that as a child of God, the Lord will guide us and give us wisdom. But more important in the workplace, as the way we walk in the midst of this virus, when we sense the peace of God and it emanates from us, others will see, yes, in spite of all the anxiety and fear outside, you do have the peace of God within you. You do walk in wisdom. You do commit yourself to prayer and change circumstances. So next slide, please. So this is a final slide. As a child of God, I always share with the Airline Fellowship, even MAF, Mission Aviation Fellowship, right? That we have a heritage. We have a Father in heaven. We have, you might say so, the throne that we can approach. In Hebrews 4:16, with boldness we approach the throne of grace. So we can go to our Father in prayer and supplication. When the Mission Aviation Fellowship wanted to help MAF International to build a runway in Myanmar, right? And we wanted to raise a certain amount of money. We approached the throne of grace. We asked for confirmation. And so we managed to raise about 300,000 plus towards the building of the airstrip. But we have never raised any amount before that. Very small amounts perhaps. So there is a time, our heritage is we can approach our Father in heaven with boldness and ask. It's like the disciples approaching Jesus in the boat. Wake up, Lord, Lord, wake up. We are perishing. Help us. But at the same time, in Psalm 149, we also have this heritage that we can decree and declare. We have the heritage of binding down the works of the enemy, of changing, or making a significance, no, in the course of the history of the world. We have a significance that we can declare. The disciples could have stood up, I believe. I would speculate that the disciples stood up and rebuked the storm, and the storm could have come. Right, so we do have 2 parts here. And back to the declaration part. I just share a very small interesting, and I'll finish with this one. I'm also involved in the healing and the adherence ministry, and we're going to start up a healing center in Singapore. almost about in the 2006. And we applied to the Registry of Companies, okay, under the Companies Act to start a healing center. It's called the Zion Healing Center. And you know, the word Zion is quite controversial, but that's what the Lord gave, so we applied that. I'm not the main guy. I mean, there are two main, but I'm just helping out. And we put an application, and there was no news. There was just an interview, and then no news for a long, long time. Until one night, in one of the prayer sessions, the Lord said, why don't you declare and decree that this center will be up and the approval will be given. And we do that until we felt satisfied that it's done. And once it's done, the next morning, 8:30, I got a call from the main person that is raising up this center. I said, he just got an email from the authorities that the application to have the center is approved. So we praise the Lord. But then at 9:30, the same person called me out and said, the regulator, the authorities have called her up, it's a girl, called her up personally and said, sorry, your approval was a mistake because your application is past due, because it was too long ago. It's over the limit. Can you apply again? That's what I commented. So I just asked the Lord, said, should we apply again? He said, no, you have declared and decree. I give it to you. Just don't do anything. So I told her, don't do anything. Just ignore it. Just tell the authorities, say, no, we're not going to do it again. So we just sat on it. 4:30, the call came back again. Yeah, okay, the approval stands. You can start the center. And so the healing center has been in existence in Singapore until now. So there's a power, the heritage that if we have Jesus, we are given the authority as children of God. And we're given this heritage of coming to God in prayer and supplication, but at the same time, to decree and declare as well when the timing is appropriate and when the subject matter is appropriate. So with this, I will just close up here. Okay, and thank you very much for your attention. It's just a privilege, really a privilege to be able to share with you. Thank you.